Today we are making a basic that I very much need in my wardrobe, a black cardigan, with pockets of course. If you want to make your own version, the pattern is available on my Ravelry store, and any purchases are very much appreciated. They help support my channel. So first things first, picking a size. You can measure your bust and pick a size based off that measurement, then circle that size on the pattern. Circle a larger or smaller size depending on your preference for ease. To get the ease you prefer, you may want to measure a cardigan you like, rather than measuring your body. However, to really get a custom fit, I recommend measuring for each piece individually. So I recommend putting on a vest top or a t-shirt with side seams, and measure the front across the bust from side seam to side seam. Same for the back, you want to measure from side seam to side seam across the largest part of your body, armhole depth from shoulder to armpit. Next is the gauge swatch. I like to knit a tube of around 50 rows. Give it a measure, and if you get around 15 stitches and 21 rows for 10 centimeters or 4 inches, you're good to go. Knit does stretch, so while gauge is important, it doesn't have to be exact. 14 stitches will give you a looser fit, and 16 stitches will give you a tighter fit. You can, of course, adjust your size accordingly. One of the good things about using this machine is your gauge is pretty much set. So starting with the back, cast on your stitches using a standard cast on, taking your waste yarn in front and behind each needle. Now we are ready to knit. For the left side, we start at needle 1. For the right side, you'll start at the other side. This will give us mirrored pieces rather than twins. So we knit the length of the body. I did 80 rows, but do longer or shorter to adjust the length. Now for the armhole shaping, we will remove 4 stitches onto waste yarn, then do 16 decreases on the same side. To do a decrease, we knit almost to the end of the row, lift the last stitch and place it on the previous needle, right down to the pins, and then knit both of those stitches together. And then repeat that process until you've done all 16 decreases. Now we just cast off and make the other side. Remember, the other side needs to be a mirrored piece, so after casting on, instead of turning around like we did for the first piece, spin the machine to needle 1 and start there. Then sew the back pieces together using mattress stitch. I have a video showing mattress stitch, which I will link below and in the cards. Next we move on to sleeves. These are made top down, mostly because I like to play yarn chicken, and if I want to add length, it's going to be the sleeve. So should I have any yarn left over, it's easier to do that on the cast off edge. So cast on 3 needles and do increases, which just involves knitting to the end of the row and knitting an extra needle. Do increases until there are 8 empty needles. I added a little bit of masking tape just to this pin because it's going to signify our new beginning of round. Now we swap to knitting in the round. Do a standard cast on around the pins with waste yarn while simultaneously knitting the needle with the working yarn. Now we get to knit in the round for the length of the sleeve. Knit this as long as you need. I did 70 rows initially for a 3/4 length sleeve, but I did have a yarn left over at the end, so I came back and added some additional rows. To finish the sleeve, we need to do some knitting by hand. I am using a 6.5 Knitting Hook, and I do 1 round of knit 2 togethers. This will give us a little balloon type effect at the cuff. Then knit the cuff and did 10 rounds of 2x2 ribbing. The front starts out by making the pocket linings. I have a full tutorial on how to make the pockets, so I'll pop that in the cards and the description. And once the pocket is done, it's plain knitting to the armpit. And then it's the same process as the back. We cast off 4 stitches, but for the decreases we do them on both sides to create the V neckline at the same time as the armhole shaping. Decrease on both sides until you have 3 stitches left. The pattern outlines how to increase the armhole depth if you are tall or if you want a baggier fit. Next it's time for more seaming, and as this is a black yarn and it's quite hard to see and film, I recommend checking out my peplum top video where I show how to do the chain stitch and the raglans on a grey yarn. It's much easier to see what's going on. I will also link below my video on afterthought ribbing, which is what we will do at the bottom of the sweater to stop any curling. So the final step is the button band. I tried a few different techniques to do this on the machine. I tried a folded double knit button band, which would work, but it didn't give the look I was going for. I also tried to do a horizontal knit button band, but because the needles are so far apart, the front of the cardigan just didn't have enough stretch to be put on the machine. So we are stuck doing it by hand. For the pickup rate, the general rule of thumb is 3 out of 4 stitches. If you divide your stitch rate by your row rate and get around 75%, then that will work. However, I was getting 71%, so I needed a ratio of 5 out of 7 stitches instead. So I picked up 2, skip 1, pick up 3, skip 1 along the front edges. You can use the live stitches across the top of the arm and the back neckline. If you don't want buttonholes, knit 8 rows of ribbing and bind off. If you want buttonholes, knit 4 rows of ribbing and then place markers where you want the buttonholes to be. I placed mine in a purl section, 6 stitches from the bottom and then 8 stitches apart for 7 buttonholes in total. I placed my buttons quite close together to avoid any gapping over my bust and belly. If you don't have that issue, you may want to space them further apart. And you can place them on either side, whatever is your preference. To make an eyelet, you just want to knit 2 stitches together and then do a yarn over. This will create a little hole where you can fit your button. Finish the final rows of ribbing, sew on your buttons, and it's time to go to the reveal. I'm really happy with how this cardigan turned out, fit-wise and pattern-wise. However, my yarn choice was not good. And this acrylic yarn is not good quality, so I think I will probably re-knit this sweater in a better quality yarn. If you have any yarn suggestions for Aran weight yarn that works with this machine, please leave them down below. I'd love to give them a try. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did buy the pattern, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.